Virtual racing comes to Northwest Arkansas with the Joe Martin stage race, sponsored by Walmart, as we get ready for the Devil's Den time trial today, kicking off 3 days of virtual racing here in the Echelon Racing League as we move into week 5 of racing here, approaching the league championships and then into national championships for many of these riders. But first, they got to get through the weekend of racing here. Lauren, this is a race that many professional riders have been through here at the Joe Martin stage race. I know one that you know well, the uphill Devil's Den time trial. Some riders going to love this. Some riders, not so much.
You know, as a sprinter and never really a time trialist at heart, I enjoyed time trial days because I could actually kind of just ride easy. So, but Joe Martin, the Devil's Den, you never can ride too easy, can you? Because it's just basically uphill. So it's a heck of a start for this race, and I'm excited to see how everybody plays out today and into this weekend.
Getting ready for our North American starting slot, right? We did have a European starting slot earlier because of our international field. We offer an earlier start slot in the day so that those European riders have a chance to get their starts in. Had some fast times. These may be able to survive all the way to the end today because we saw some really fast times in the men's race from riders like Ben Thomas setting blistering times. Will Harden had a good ride out there as well for Project Echelon, setting an early fast time off the front, but it ended up being Thomas with a crushing 6+ watts per kilo. Now, Lauren, this is a short enough climb that you should be able to do a relatively high number. We're going to see a higher average watt per kilo today because of the shorter course, the shorter time that they're on the bike.
Yeah, which requires a bit more of a warm-up, too. It's such a short, intense effort, and it hurts so bad. So, yeah, having a longer warm-up is definitely going to be fortuitous for anybody trying to do well in this race.
So Davenport setting a good time as well. And then it was David Millam up next to roll across the line for the Hugh Dog racing team here. But Gonsalves was an early leader. Blodgett and Harden had good times as well. You see that leaderboard on the left side as Gonsalves made his way across the line with a blistering 5 watts per kilo across. And then it was Blodgett from Restart Racing behind him up next. Also had a good time on the day. You see his running time up in the upper right-hand corner at just over 10.5 minutes. So that's a good average time. Most of these riders could be somewhere between 10.5 minutes on the day. You see Will Harden finishing up here just under 10 minutes with a 9:47 on the day for him. So some pretty incredible times. That put a lot of riders on notice for the day today. I think impressing some riders in the afternoon session here as you take a look at Ben Thomas with 6.7 watts per kilo on his average. Zach Nair does 6.1 with a 9:21. But Thomas was the only guy to break the 9-minute barrier in our European session earlier today. So I guess that'll be the benchmark for the day. Does anybody else go under 9 out there?
Ouch. What a heck of an effort by these guys. This is 6.7 watts per kilo is intense.
Well, this is certainly a much different course than we've really seen for a lot of the season. I mean, we haven't seen an uphill time trial yet this year. We haven't seen an uphill short distance, so it'll be interesting to see how riders like Jaden Yeager do on this one. Zach Nair, you saw on the earlier session, had a good ride in second place overall here in the series for Project Echelon Racing with just over 1,200 points, and then Brad Bickley sitting in third. So these are some of the names to watch, but really all the names we expect. You see Ben Thomas there sitting in fourth place overall. Kevin Bouchard-Hall has been on fire the last couple weeks here in the Echelon Racing League, moving him into fifth place overall with Restart Racing. And then we'll also be looking at Matt Usborne. Harden took the earlier start on the day, and then Hogman, Clace, and Mason Roca, last week's winner, may have a shot out there today as well. So those are the names to watch. I think Jaden Yeager might be the biggest question because Yeager is a big guy on the bike, right? This uphill time trial is not really great for a big diesel engine rider like Yeager.
No, but it is short enough, Brad, to, that Jaden could probably put out that kind of effort for that short amount of time. But I've got my eye on Kevin Bouchard-Hall and Roca kind of is my picks for today. Just this, like I said, this uphill time trial. This is more their kind of race for the weekend.
See Eric Hill out on course right now for the Project Echelon team. Maybe the perfect name for the day today because Hill is about 80% of what you're doing out there. It's pretty much up from the gun, and then it does flatten out a little bit as they get across the top of the time trial course today.
Yeah, there's no reprieve in this day, is it? I mean, it's just straight up from the gun. And it's almost kind of like track racing. If you go out too hard, there's no recovery, and so you have to really monitor your effort today. But then again, it's such a short effort. Like you just have to expend every bit of energy you can.
Taking a look at Mike Swart as well into the red as he goes about halfway up the climb. You can see in the upper right corner the elevation profile, and well, it's pretty consistent, up, and up some more at about 5% on the way up. After they leave the starting line in Devil's Den State Park, a lot of switchbacks on the way up too. That hurts just that much more. Those are built into the RGT game as well, so you'll see those sections of 10, 12, 14, 15% on the way up very briefly, but it is in the corners. And then this is what we were talking about, where it kind of flattens out across the top. This is where Jaden Yeager will do well in the last couple kilometers of riding, but really over just under 3 miles of racing with 722 feet of elevation gain. The max gradient, now it measures the max gradient for a certain distance. So if you have a very brief section like on a switchbacks, it will not measure the max gradient there, but it does go up over 15% at some points. And then you see our VeloViewer profile here presented by Strava. It gives you a pretty clear idea of just how much climbing is in this one. But the yellow and orange sections, obviously the more painful sections on the day, Lauren.
That just looks brutal. And, for Kevin Bouchard-Hall or Roca, they're looking at the yellow and being like, yeah, that's where we're going to make all of our time. And Jaden Yeager, he's looking at the blue to be like, that's where I'm going to make all my time. So different race strategies for the different guys for sure today.
Yeager warming up right now, getting ready. You talked a little bit about this. On a short time trial like this, the race really starts 20, 30 minutes, something like that before. How long is a warm for a time trial like this?
Yeah, even a little bit longer because it's such a short amount of time, Brad. So I would almost give them a good 45 minutes warm up to kind of ramp up and kind of really get that central nervous system going and getting the legs going. And because again, it's almost like the shorter the time trial, the longer the warm up, and vice versa. So a road race that's 4 or 5 hours, you're not really going to warm up at all because you're going to get that in the race. So but this 10-minute, 9-minute effort, 8-minute effort, I do not envy these guys at all right now.
Look at John Cooper on the way in now for Triple X Racing, hitting his halfway mark at a steady 6% gradient here. I would guess you'll see a lot of riders standing up today because this is tough enough. And again, the smart platforms that these riders on, if you're not familiar with RGT, it does mimic the resistance of riding uphill on the trainers that these riders on. So there's a variable resistance as the hills increase and decrease in the game here. So you saw Cooper out of the saddle, just trying to turn those cranks over. It's just like riding in real life. It feels like you're riding through quicksand out there going uphill. John Cooper had the fastest intermediate split at 7:02, so we'll keep an eye on that. That'll be sort of our split here. The split is taken just at the top of the climb. I think that's where we're going to have the best idea of who's doing the best on the day. So we'll see Cooper through there.
And another interesting point is Sorry, Brad, you're talking about how some of the riders went earlier today, and if I remember right, Jaden Yeager went early at the Tour of the Gila. And that kind of sets you up for the weekend, just kind of, if you can get some recovery into the afternoon and then set up again for tomorrow. So it'll be interesting to see. I think this is a short enough time trial that it won't take too much out of your legs like Gila probably did. So maybe not as much of a factor, but that's always in the back of my mind is when they set up to do their time trial and their time and how it plays into the rest of the weekend.
A little bit of strategy even involved in your starting time on the day with a couple options. Looks like Swart going to be joined by, I think it's Luke Ahrens behind him. Ahrens seems to be making a strong push on the way up here. I think that's an Above and Beyond Cancer jersey. Here's Swart, Restart Racing rider.
He's down in the
also out of the saddle here. Yeah. At least he put the black cloth up. I want to know what's behind that. Swart looks like he's got a rocker underneath him. Look how much he's moving that bike side to side underneath him. That's got to be a blessing on a day like today. If you're a rider that stands up a lot and that's your style, that's almost necessary to do this.
Agreed. You can use a little bit of the upper body to kind of throw the bike around and counter each pedal stroke. So every little 1%, 2% matters. And if you can use your arms a little bit to counter your legs, it all works.
I see some riders with the lower cadence, mash for the cash, as they say, or some riders with a higher cadence, spin to win. It's the prevailing knowledge.
That's my favorite motto.
Yeah, you were not a big gear rider in your time. This would be one where you would spend.
Maybe that's why I didn't like this course so much.
Exactly.
I like a nice, chill 3 to 5%.
Nice to see the billboards along the course for John Cooper. Some fans cheering him on as well in our virtual world here on RGT. Devil's Den State Park, located in the Lee Creek Valley, part of the Ozarks of Northwest Arkansas, which has rapidly, Lauren, become a hotspot of cycling. I know you are fresh back from Cyclocross World Championships there. And it seems like they're just getting started with Cross World Championships.
It's unbelievable there, Brad. I can't tell you how amazing last weekend was. Having Worlds in the U.S. first and foremost, and then second, just having it there at the home of Walmart, essentially. The Fayetteville-Bentonville area is becoming the U.S. hub of cycling. Being in the South, being from the South, I feel a little bit of nostalgia and a lot of warm hospitality there. It was I can't describe the weekend just in this time trial, but it was unbelievable. And then to have the Joe Martin stage race that we've done for years and to have Walmart back this is so great. And then the Oz trails are unbelievable. The mountain bike trails, the gravel there is next level. The cross scene was crazy weekend. So yeah, it's definitely the place to be right now for bike racing.
And like you said, it's all forms of racing. We talked about cross for the World Championships, but their commitment to the Joe Martin stage race, their commitment to mountain biking, the trails, the events there, it really is incredible. Eric Hill just rolling through the line with 9:30 there. He had a 7:02 at the intermediate split, so that tells you it's about a minute and a half from the split point for most riders. So we'll keep an eye on these guys. Cooper had the exact same split as Hill, but Hill was about 30 seconds faster in that second half. This is Mike Swart we're watching now. And Swart came at 7:45 on the intermediate split, so I don't think we'll see him knock down Eric Hill with their current fast time at the finish.
Again, kind of going back to those, bigger guys, essentially like Matt Usborne and Yeager, can they make that time up over that hill and that more flatter section?
And there's a very brief section where the power riders can have their go. Chris Naven on the way up for Triple X Racing. Looks like he's about to get onto the wheel of Swart here. See the character goes down into the arrow tuck. They do have drafting set to a specific time trial mode, which essentially limits the drafting. It doesn't completely eliminate it, but it does eliminate a large part of it. You see Navin not getting any draft right here on the way up. That would indicate in the upper left-hand corner if he was getting an advantage. So
I'm
to
going to
keep the
guess
time
that his
trial
heart rate
fair.
was 86.
Looks like he's got the arm heart band on. Maybe that's the issue. See his goals list on the board to his right. He's got the Echelon Racing League, the Echelon Racing League Championships coming up. And then I saw USA Cycling Nationals, which I'm going to guess are the Esports National Championships coming up February 2nd. And, of course, the UCI Esports World Championships, where a lot of these riders will be representing the United States. We have some pretty incredible talent here in the Echelon Racing League. It really is cool to have world-class riders racing in this league. I mean, these really are the best e-racers in the world.
That's right, and to have them here and racing here, it's been such a fun season to announce and to be a part of.
Just want to point out Chris Navin here just finished up his ride, and as he finished, he added another line. Go Jackie! Cheering on Jackie Godby, getting ready for her start coming up in our women's field. You'll notice the goal board also has the Chicago Stars, so I think there's a connection there to the Chicago flag, which he uses as asterisks. I love it. Mr. Chicago, Chris Navin cheering on Jackie Godby for the Triple X Racing team. Matt Usborne with a strong finish here on the way in. Doesn't look like he had a great split, but he will go under 9 with looks like an 8:58 to stop the clock for Matt Usborne. So good ride for Usborne. Broke 9 minutes, but not going to be enough to unseat Ben Thomas here.
Yeah, I guess that it's not enough of a flatter section for those guys, is it? You have to go from the gun and just be in the pain cave and essentially that entire time.
Remember, 8:53, the time to beat. That was Ben Thomas's time earlier today. Second place is a 9:21 by Zach Nair. So that ride did get into second place that we just saw finished up. Kevin Bouchard Hall at 8 minutes in here with just 500 meters to go. This is going to be a good time.
Yeah.
Remember, 8:53 is what he's got to beat. He's at 8:20 right now with 400 meters to go. I don't think he's going to set a new fast time here, but he's going to be close. We're used to such fast finishes here in RGT, watching the road race and criterium finishes. I can only imagine how this feels for the riders watching.
Oh, close.
The distance remaining tick away so slowly. So Bouchard Hall going to keep it under 9. 8:53 is what he's got to beat. And he might go just over 9. Still going to be good for a podium ride with 9:02.
Oh, there you go. That just tells you the effort. I mean, this, it's so short, but it is just brutal. Oh, man.
I don't see a coffee cup today for Kevin Bouchard Hall. I don't think this is one where with a 6 p.m. East Coast start, I don't know if coffee is the best option. Here's last week's winner, Mason Roca for the Gotham Greens Verge Sport team. Roca had a great ride last week, upsetting Jaden Yeager, who made the attack off the front, and then Roca caught him at the last minute.
You may see a little bit of change up in things just if people are gearing up for nationals and into worlds. They could potentially be just kind of resting through this race, unfortunately, or had a rest block. So trying to now come out of that rest block. So we may see a whole bunch of shakeup this weekend on this race.
And some riders will come into this fresh as well. Some new weeks of racing here in the Echelon Racing League. Teams can rotate different riders through. Obviously, that wouldn't do it for the overall, but they can bring fresh riders in. Taking a look at Ridnour on your screen now. The Canadian had the 10th fastest intermediate split as he tries to keep it under 10 here on the line. And that'll still be close to a top 10. 6 riders did a sub 10-minute ride earlier today, and I think we've seen 3 already through. Randy Warren through as well. Triple X Racing doing a 12:44. And we'll see Ridnour in. Here's Travis Samuel up next, the Above Beyond Cancer rider. This will be a good time. Right around 9:45 for Samuel. Through 7th on the intermediate split, and looks like he's going to end up right about there on the results. Brian Kellison up next. I like the Panvelo Racing kit.
Yeah.
This is a new one for us in the Echelon Racing League.
Yeah.
Kellison onto the 7% gradient here. Probably the worst time for the hardest gradient to come right before the finish line. And here's Kellison. Making it easy for the memers out there. You got to be careful on the internet these days. Got the backwards cap. He likes the color on the kit. I like that. Both kits, very stylish.
Yeah. Just the facial expression kind of does it for me. Of these are hard days. You know, there's nothing about starting a stage race with a time trial.
I guess it harkens back to the European tradition of a prologue, right? Nice way to sort of set the leader's jersey going into day one. Now, whether or not the riders want to do an all-out 10-minute effort on day one, I'm not so sure. Here's Brian Hodges up next, going deep in the garage. I just got a nice little Zwift setup here. So he's got a little service bay over here off to the side of the garage. And Hodges finishing up on the way in here. As looks like he's going to keep it under 10:30 as well for Triple X Racing. I love the Triple X Club. What a great program. They were out in force at our Cyclocross National Championships just before Cross Worlds, but these are jerseys that you see really all over the Midwest. They have riders everywhere, but Triple X, one of the largest clubs in the Chicagoland area, and they really do an incredible job of developing riders. One of my favorite things about Triple X is that I see the jerseys not just in the pro fields, not just in the pro ranks, but I see them all the way down to the Cat 4-5s, which I know is a big part of Triple X Racing's mission.
That's what it's about, is developing the next generation, isn't it? And that's what I love about this sport, is being able to give back and teach the new ones that someone taught me. So it's quite the gift that keeps on giving.
It looks like Smith might have been one of our last riders in here, as he goes 11:37 on the clock. We'll start running the hamsters on the wheel, do the math here, and get our leaders plugged in. Lauren, this won't matter for the most part. This is scored as a GC stage race, so it's really all about time. As long as these guys are within like 5 or 6 seconds of their biggest competitors on the climbing longer days, then they should be fine here on the time trial. So I don't think anyone had a terrible day out there today, but again, the Joe Martin stage race overall will not be won and lost here on the time trial.
Yeah, but it's always a good confidence booster to know where you kind of sit in the scheme of things when you have a good ride on a TT. But yeah, you're right. Like at the same time, you can kind of use this as just a wash day or a opening your legs day kind of thing, or just kind of getting the sensations going. So yeah, I think Kevin kind of set himself up pretty well, and always Jaeger's kind of his teammate that we always looked at. These guys have been going 1-2 a lot over the season. So yeah, it's a good day for those guys.
Here are your afternoon results from our afternoon session that just wrapped up here. Luke Ahrens, the Above Beyond Cancer rider, turning in fastest time of the day at 8:58. Matt Usborne just behind him in second, the Above Beyond Cancer squad as well. And then it goes Kevin Bouchard-Hall, Jaden Yeager, and Eric Hill. All of those guys within just a few seconds of each other, a 9:02, a 9:06, and a 9:34. But a lot of 5s and 6s in the watt per kilo column here, Lauren. That is indicative of just how hard this is. Anyone that's ever done a VO2 max test, that's about what this feels like.
It's vomit. Those numbers are vomit, and that's what I'm saying. Is like you have that small time of an effort, but that watts per kilo, it just no, thank you.
Yeah. And now, like you said, obviously time to recover and get back to it before the long stage races tomorrow, where this one is going to be much different. So I think a lot of these riders that you see in the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th position, those are guys that are going to be targeting stages 2 and 3 of the Joe Martin stage race. Aaron's doing just under 6 watts per kilo with a 5.95 average. That is the highest winning watt per kilo that we had for the afternoon session so far here today. Sounds like we're trying to get a lock on Aaron's finish time, which shows up into our system as 0, but we'll get confirmation on that. What we do know is that most of the guys in the GC are doing just fine here, right? Most of these guys are going to be within 10 or 15 seconds of each other here.
And this is about what we've seen kind of all season too, is this stacked group in the top 10 like this. So no surprises, I don't think. No unknowns that have just popped up out of nowhere. So yeah, it should be another good weekend of racing.
Well, Lauren, as we wrap up our men's field here, getting ready for our women's start, first one coming in just over 30 minutes from now. That 9-10 minute mark, I have a feeling Jackie Godby going to be pretty close to that one as we look ahead to our women's field coming up here.
Who else are you going to pick? But at this point in the series, she had a great post on Instagram in her new USA Cycling kit. It was really great to see. So, dude, she did a 3 a.m. workout. I don't know if you saw that or not, but this gal is dedicated. So I always like watching her race, and especially enjoy her interviews. So yeah, I mean, let's just pick her right now.
It's been an honor and a pleasure watching Jackie Godby every week here in the Echelon Racing League. She is about 30 minutes from taking off from the starting line here at the virtual Joe Martin stage race presented by Walmart. We're going to learn a little bit more about Devil's Den State Park and take a quick break before we come back with more live racing with our elite women in the Echelon Racing League.
Hello and welcome to Devil's Den State Park. My name is Mistina and I'm one of the park interpreters here at the park. Today I'd like to invite you all on a virtual hike through the legacy of the CCC. We will spend about 10 minutes virtually exploring the park's CCC Interpretive Trail to discover some of the most important historical resources here at Devil's Den State Park, work done by the CCC. Devil's Den State Park is a special place set aside to protect and preserve the cultural resources, like our CCC history, of this unique Ozark Valley in northwest Arkansas. So I've mentioned CCC a couple of times. Can you guess what CCC stands for? If you guessed CCC stands for Civilian Conservation Corps, you were right. Today's hike will take us through the main CCC camp where 200 young men stayed while they were building our park. As we walk along the footsteps of the CCC, we become part of the park's legacy. Let us now explore that legacy. Devil's Den State Park would not be the park that we enjoy today if it weren't for the CCC's hard work and sacrifice. The Civilian Conservation Corps was formed by Franklin Roosevelt in the 1930s Great Depression era as part of his New Deal project. He formed the CCC for two main reasons. One reason was to give young men work during these hard times so they could support their families. The second reason was to build up these conservation areas like state parks and national parks. The type of work that the CCC boys did while building the parks was building the trails, such as our Devil's Den Trail, Lake Trail, and the Yellow Rock Trail. They also built the roads into the park so people could come down and enjoy this beautiful place. They planted trees and built recreation facilities like our cabins. We will actually get to see one of our cabins today here in just a few minutes. It was hard work building the park. Those of you that live in Arkansas or live in the surrounding states, you know how hot it can get here in the summertime. You also know how cold it can get here in the wintertime. Now, imagine being a CCC worker working in these outside conditions, the heat of the summer, the cold of the winter, doing this for $1 a day. Yes, just $1 a day. That's how much they were paid. I'm guessing most of you make more than $1 a day in your weekly allowance or paychecks, so $1 doesn't seem like a lot of money to us. But it was a lot of money back then, especially during the Great Depression era when there weren't a lot of jobs, not a lot of ways to support your family and to put food on the table. So the CCC was a good project to bring America out of the Great Depression era. All of our young men working in the CCC were aged 18 to 25 years old, and they were unmarried. At the end of the month, a CCC worker was paid his $30 paycheck, but $25 was sent home to his family. That's how a lot of families were supported. If they had a son or an older brother working in the CCC, their family was being supported. The extra $5 the CCC worker got to keep for himself. He usually would save it up because he was staying here and living in the CCC camp. He didn't need much. He was well taken care of. He was fed 3 meals a day. He got to stay in barracks. They gave him work uniforms and even 2 pairs of shoes. So life was pretty great here, despite the hard work that they were doing. Let's walk further down the trail to see where these young men lived and worked and talk about some of their daily routines. Similar to a family, the Park CCC Company 3795 spent daily routines together in this main camp area. Here you'll see a foundation. This is one of our most intact foundations left behind from the CCC camp here in the park. This was the kitchen foundation. This is where all their meals were prepared. As I said earlier, they were fed 3 meals a day. And I don't mean just cereal for breakfast. It was 3 big meals a day. They were really well taken care of while they were living here in the CCC camp. What does every good kitchen need? Think about what your kitchen has in it. Well, you probably said oven, sink, plates, dishes, things like that. You probably also said refrigerator. Most of you will have a refrigerator in your kitchen. Well, back in the 1930s, we didn't quite have the refrigerators that we have today. Instead, the CCC camp had a root cellar. You can see the root cellar here on the CCC Interpretive Trail. This is where they kept their food, like fruit, vegetables, and meat. Everything in this camp was kind of close together. It was really accessible and convenient. We have the kitchen here, we had the root cellar, and just down the trail is the latrine or the bathhouse foundation. It's our second most intact foundation that we have here in the camp left behind today. The bathhouse was big enough to accommodate the 200 young men working in this park. You may not think that we had indoor plumbing in the 1930s, but since this was a federally operated camp, of course they had nicer things. So yes, they had indoor plumbing here in the park, in the latrine. So they were able to take hot showers and they were able to have flush toilets. It was kind of nice. Let's walk further down the trail and I will show you one of the cabins that they built. The CCC built structures you see in the park were made of natural materials found in the area and were built to last lifetimes. This is Cabin 17 behind me. You'll notice that the foundation of the cabin was built using the native sandstone from this area, and the wood siding was made of wood from this area. The CCC built their structures in the rustic style of architecture, also called parkitecture, so that they look like they belong to the natural landscape. They blend into the natural landscape. Doesn't it look like Cabin 17 belongs here in nature? All of our cabins that were built by the CCC in the 1930s here in the park are unique in their own way. They have different floor plans, they're different sizes. Cabin 17 is what we call a studio cabin, which means everything is in one room. It's one of our smaller cabins, but the cabin is special because this was actually the headquarters for the CCC camp here in the 1930s. Today we've explored the main camp area where the CCC lived while building our beautiful park. I'd like to encourage all of you to seek out more information about the CCC or experience CCC structures firsthand. There is a really great documentary I recommend that you watch. It's a PBS video about the American experience and the CCC work done in the entire nation. It really goes into detail about the young men in the 1930s and the hardships they went through to build our country back up from the Great Depression. You can also find out more information about the CCC work done at Devil's Den by contacting us. Our contact information is found on the Arkansas State Parks website. I also encourage you to look for CCC built structures in your community, or visit Devil's Den State Park when you're able to experience the park's CCC structures for yourself. As you walk along the footsteps of the CCC, you become part of the park's legacy. Thank you for participating in today's hike through the legacy of the CCC and virtually visiting Devil's Den State Park.
Welcome back. Getting ready for pro women's racing here in the Echelon Racing League, which has proved to be the premier field over the last few weeks of racing, with the likes of Jackie Godby leading the way. Our current series leader here in the Echelon Racing League will be looking for another one here at the Walmart Joe Martin Stage Race as we get ready for the Devil's Den Time Trial. Again, the opening stage of 3 days of virtual racing this weekend. It starts with a short time trial, and then it's into some long road racing. So, Lauren, you were talking about the prep for days 2 and 3. It really starts today. It's about how hard you ride and how much you can recover before 11 o'clock Eastern start time tomorrow.
No doubt. As a matter of fact, I just looked at social in between the races, and one of the guys messaged me and said, that hurt. So that short effort is brutal this afternoon.
Well, the men were the first to go off. We did have a women's start earlier in the day as well for our European riders so that they could make the starting time. Had some fast times there. Again, a lot of riders chose to take the early start time just because that left more time to recover in between this start and their next start tomorrow for stage 2 of the Walmart Joe Martin stage race. We saw Dorr set an early fast time into the red zone. Anna Rokkanen also out there taking the early start. We saw Kate Oulet and Emma O'Toole taking the early start. O'Toole putting a hard effort in all the way to the line as she left the start line. Then it was Kristen Miller's turn, the German rider for the Beast Mode Rose Squad, up next as she conquered the 10% gradient on the way up today's climb. Baker was up next to leave the starting house as she got started on the 5% gradient, leaving the line. And then it was Carolus up next, the last starter of the day. And the afternoon starts. Oulet through the line with a 12:42 up first. That was sort of setting the tempo with Moira Nelson finishing just ahead of her. Emma O'Toole, we talked about earlier, had a rough day at just under 13 minutes. She stops the clock at 12:57. And then Baker has a good time with a 12:30 on the day. And then we saw Rokkanen coming in just behind her, right around 14 minutes. So Kim Miller ends up setting the fastest time of the day with an 11:42, and then Nelson at 11:50 and Carolus at 12:10. So those are the 3 fastest times set earlier in the day today. But with a name like Jackie Godby on the starting line, I have a feeling that 11:42 will fall today.
And Mobs. I mean, somebody else that we've kind of seen come in late in the season and really put a great performance in. So you're right. I mean, I think these 2 riders this afternoon are probably going to blow these times probably out of the water, Brad.
Again, this was from the early morning session, so only 8 riders taking that start with 11:42 being the time to beat. So we'll put a big old circle on that number and see how quickly it takes for that to fall, if it does, in fact, fall. Series standings coming into week 5 of racing here in the Echelon Racing League. Jackie Godby widens her lead over Erin Ayala, who has now moved into second place overall from Velocity Vixen team. Dylan Baker sitting in third place from the Project Echelon Racing team with a little over 1,200 points. And then Kim Miller sitting in fourth place for the Beast Mode presented by Rose team with Moira Nelson in fifth. The overall pretty much sorted here. It's going to be tough for Ayala to come back over top of Godby, but we do see some battles a little further down into fourth and fifth. For a lot of riders, though, Lauren, this is about the day of battle out there on the bike.
Yeah, no doubt. And, just looking at Godby and Erin, the 2 of the most consistent riders all season, even though that Erin has basically been third, fourth all season, but this just that consistency has put her in second place right there. So, I mean, today is definitely Godby's race. We all know that. Erin will definitely be right there in the mix. But, I mean, let's just say it like it is and see if Rhea Mobbs can take it to Godby today.
That may be the biggest thing to watch is the relationship between Mobbs and Godby in the time, because Mobbs has a chance to just hang with Godby. I don't know that I can guarantee a win for Mobbs against Godby on the day, but she absolutely has the ability to finish within 5 or 10 seconds of Jackie Godby on the longer climbing days later on this week. And so, as long as Mobbs can hang in there, I think that's a successful day in the time trial for Rhea Mobbs. You see her in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen here, taking on some fluids before the start. Got the air conditioner or heater right next to her. I'm not sure which. And then Jackie Godby in the bottom left. And her familiar pain cave here in the Echelon Racing League. All right, again, Devil's Den time trial today, a short but hard uphill time trial on the way up here. If we learned anything in the men's race, it's that you can absolutely empty the tank over 8 minutes of racing, Lauren. I mean, we saw some guys absolutely cracked when they got to the end of this one, and I'm expecting the same in the women's race.
No doubt, this is definitely going to be a 9 to 12 minute painful effort. I'm sure they've been warming up for quite a while now. Yeah, I just, it's just Godby's race to lose, essentially. But like you said in the men's race, like if Mobbs can just stay close on time, maybe over the weekend she can pick her battle, either Saturday or Sunday, to kind of take it to Godby and see what suits her best.
I'm sure she'll be watching Godby's time. I'm sure she looked at those times for earlier today to see if Jackie Godby started in the morning session or had to wait until the afternoon session to see what her competitor was going to do. You can see on the elevation profile here just how steep those first few climbs are. Steep enough that they had to put a few switchbacks in for the road to get uphill, so that gives you an idea of just how steep the climb is up to the top. And then again, it does flatten out on that blue section across the top. So it's really only like maybe 9 minutes of climbing, and then the other 2 or 3 are going to be on the tail end of that flat section. So sometimes that's even harder, though. Sometimes that's even harder to hang on that on the flat section across the top, Lauren.
Did you just say only 8 minutes?
Well, it may be 7:59 for this woman, Jackie Godby, the Triple X Racing Athletico rider. You can see her USA team jersey down in the bottom right corner. She will be representing the United States at the upcoming Esports World Championships, and I would imagine she'll also be giving it a go for a Stars and Stripes jersey at the upcoming National Championships here on RGT, February 20th. I know we'll be there, and I'm not sure what the protocol is for virtual jerseys when you win it. Sorry about that. Looking at Jackie Godby getting ready to take her start in our SIS Zoom room. She's underway right now. Godby out of the saddle on the way up the hill. This is something that we rarely see from Jackie Godby out of the saddle climbing. You see the time trial bike. She comes from a triathlete background, but everybody has to climb at Devil's Den. Lauren, I imagine very similar in real life. When you leave the starting line from the time trial here at Joe Martin Stage Race, you're pretty much standing up immediately. I mean, there's a little bit of a run into it, but once that starts climbing, even a rider like you who likes to sit in and spin as much as they can had to stand up every once in a while on this climb.
I guess I would say that it's almost like controlled chaos. You are about to just put yourself through something that's not comfortable at all, but you have to go to that place as soon as you can. And so you just have to be mentally prepared for that as well. It's just like this setup, and I would be anxious all day if I was thinking about this 10 minute effort right now. It just turns my stomach thinking about it, but I'm glad I'm on this side of things now and can watch these athletes do what they do, because Godby's going to put on a performance today. There's no doubt.
It's amazing how much those 9 minute efforts still haunt you into retirement. I'm amazed that that is the painful memory that you remember. I'm sure you did a lot of painful things in your career as a professional bike racer, but the 9 minute uphill time trial at the Devil's Den State Park sounds like may have been one of the worst of them.
Yeah, you could only enjoy the view coming back down, but what a beautiful place that Devil's Den is. It's pretty spectacular if you get a chance to go out there. It's beautiful.
All right, well, riders getting their final countdown. You see the riders start to up their cadence as well as they get ready for their start. Again, you want to really hit the ground running, try and ramp that power up as much as you can before you hit your official start time. The Riders do start at 30-second intervals, but looks like all four underway and rolling here. So we'll start to get some times rolling in, but we're watching Mallory McCrosty in the bottom right. We're going to pick up Jackie Godby here, the rider in the upper left-hand corner of your SIS Zoom room. And here is your odds-on favorite coming into the day today.
Yeah, Godby's had such a stellar season, and she just relishes in the competition, which is really fresh and new, I would say, almost to have that perspective. But yeah, she's just such a great athlete, well-rounded, and has just dominated yet again this year.
Looks like Nelson, the next starter behind her. Then comes McCrosty, followed by Larson, Ayala, and then Mobbs. What is usually leaderboard on the left-hand side of the screen doesn't do us much good today other than to tell us the starting order that the riders start in. So Godby getting an early start, always one of the first riders into the start pen. I can tell you every week, Jackie Godby is the first rider into the Zoom room on our production call to make sure that we have live video. Everything is prepared. She's always checking the bike, checking the computer, checking the trainer, making sure she's logging in, testing, retesting. It's really amazing how much work goes into Jackie Godby's success in the virtual world here.
Yeah, to be the best, you have to prepare and be ready for anything. And this is why she has that jersey sitting back there, you know, and she's representing the United States. Yeah, she's one of the best.
Godby holding just under 6 watts per kilo right now. She's at about 5.8 average. This is a hard one to know your limit. A lot of riders, they know their limit for a 30-minute effort or a 15-second effort, but 8, 9, 10 minutes is such an objective number in cycling that there's not many courses where you're doing an effort that's exactly that time. And so I would imagine it's hard to gauge your effort across a 10-minute effort.
Time trialing is definitely walking a tightrope between falling off and completely losing it and being in full control. It's the entire time. So it's also a mental taxing situation. It's just because you're constantly thinking about your numbers, and you know we've seen Godby like never take her eyes off the screen. So she's totally focused and like I said, just on the edge of out of control, and just like any of these athletes are. It's a brutal discipline of cycling, and to be so focused and to be a good time trialist is something I could never grasp. So hats off to these athletes.
Got a good look at Mallory McCrosty there and her new pain cave after moving to Tucson, her new home from Washington, D.C. Back to Brennan Nelson, the faster cyclist rider, up next. And then this is up to Rhea Mobbs. This is another pre-race favorite coming in. Looks like Mobbs has already caught her 32nd rider with Nelson up the road. Remember, riders start at 30-second intervals today. So Mobbs has gone through one rider, and that usually means she's on pretty good time. What I'm watching is the watts per kilo, doing right around 6. So she is exactly where she needs to be. And, well, it looks like she's going about as deep as she can right now.
Do you think Mobbs is somewhere in the States at this point, or do you think, because am I doing the math right? Like, that'd be a kind of a late night, huh?
Yeah, that looks like PNAC to me, though, so we'll see.
That's
it would be just after midnight in the UK. Right now, we're at 7:09 Eastern time, so yeah, that's 12:09 over in the UK. A little late night trainer session for Rhea Mobbs. First intermediate splits coming in. Jackie Godby did a 7:15 across the 54 seconds down on her. So Godby only about 15 seconds off of our fastest men's split on the day. I would not be surprised if Jackie Godby set the overall fastest time of the day.
Unbelievable. What a ride so far.
And looks like Mobbs just set a new fastest split.
Yeah.
She did, just came in 5 seconds faster than Jackie Godby at the intermediate split here. So Mobbs got a chance not only to hang with Jackie Godby, but maybe beat her on the time trial today.
Holy smokes. Yeah, Mobb's been coming in this late season, and she got a win a couple weeks ago. So this is getting exciting, Brad. Godby is getting some good competition.
McCrosty further back at 5 watts per kilo. Here's Godby on the way down at 1K to go. So this is across the flat section. A little bit of a downhill once you get to the top, and then it flattens out. So Godby there as Rhea Mobbs tries to chase her down. This is one I would love to see in person. If you put these riders at a 30-second interval on the road in real life, can you imagine what that battle would look like for these two? And Godby and Mobbs both going deep on this one. Mobbs has stayed in the saddle a lot. I think more than a lot of riders that we've seen on the SIS Zoom cams today.
And, we've talked just over these last couple of races is how, this competition raises both of these athletes' level up. So, Godby really appreciates this. And Mobbs, I know she's enjoying trying to take it to Godby. So that's just the beauty of sport, isn't it? You can just up your game by having good competition.
Many have come for the queen, Jackie Godby, but few have succeeded in defeating the crown. But Rhea Mobbs has a chance today. So see Godby coming up at right around, she's going to be on the finish line here. Godby on the way in at the bottom right. So her time going to be just under 10 minutes on the day. And then remember, Mobbs was 5 seconds faster through the intermediate split. So we'll see if she makes it up on the other side. 9:39 going to be the final time for Godby across the line here.
Holy cow, that's smoking fast.
And now maybe a slight advantage for Mobbs to at least be able to see that time off the road and have somewhat of a target to hit, although she's only got 2 minutes to do it, so it doesn't really give you much time to adjust your strategy. Mobbs has McCrosty in her crosshairs up next. This will be the next 30-second rider for her to catch.
Yeah, with this short of an effort, Brad, I couldn't imagine that you could really make too much of an adjustment, but if she could, now's the time to make it.
A little further down, we saw Brenna Nelson at 1:49 back at the intermediate split, Cheyenne Noble at 1:53 back, and then Holly Larson at 1:56 back at the intermediate split as McCrosty goes under 1K to go. She's going to go into the red zone here as well. Mobbs going to be just behind her. In fact, there's the shadow of Mobbs coming into sight right now as Mobbs goes into the red zone, blows right by her. So we'll see if we can move up and catch Mobbs' time. In fact, that's going to be her gameplay in the bottom left-hand corner here. So she's at 8:40 right now with 600 meters to go. She is certainly poised to break Jackie Godby's 9:39 here.
It's going to be close.
Down to 500 meters here. She's got 34 seconds to get there. And remember, still uphill all the way through.
Yeah, it's not like a sprint, is it? It's not something that's going to be done over in 10 seconds. It's just drags out.
She'll come up at
so close.
right around 200. She'll go 9:34, so that's going to go past Godby's time here. Jackie Godby will win another stage, but again, Rhea Mobbs did what she needed to do today. Her mission is not on the time trial course today. Her mission is in the next 2 days of racing here at the Walmart Joe Martin Stage Race with some long road races coming up tomorrow and Sunday. That's where Rhea Mobbs is going to have the chance to really do what she does best against Jackie Godby.
Yep. Like you said, keep it close today. And then that gives you a better chance going into the weekend.
Recover, grab some air from the air conditioner there, and get ready to get back to it tomorrow morning because, well, her race is coming up here pretty quick. It's about 15 hours away from the next race start for Rhea Mobbs. And she's got to
and you
get
do
to bed
such
in
an
there at
effort
some
like
point.
that. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's like you do an effort like that. How do you just then now go to sleep? It's being a crit racer and doing some of these criteriums late at night. It's really hard to turn around like that. But yeah, maybe she has the gift.
Here's Erin Ayala making her way in up next at 500 meters to go. Just over 11 minutes so far for Ayala in second overall. I think the game for Ayala this weekend is, one, seeing how long she can hang with that front group because she's always there. She can always get into the group. It's just a matter of how long she stays with them. And then, two, she always manages to find a battle in the race, right? Ayala always finds someone to lock into and some goal, some rider up the road to lock in. So it'll be interesting to see what that race is like in our women's field in our next 2 days of racing at the Walmart Joe Martin Stage Race.
Brad, you're exactly right. And sometimes I would say some of her race situations that she's been in, she's probably learning a bit more by being, third, fourth, fifth place than being up the road with Godby or Mobbs, essentially, because you learn, how to attack these competitors or how to sit in. So she's probably learning a lot on the game, even though she is, third, fourth, or fifth position and second overall now.
Ayala through at 12:13 as she'll stop the clock. That leaves Larson and Noble out on course. And looks like Larson will be in next at 200 meters to go for her. Larson riding for the Velocity Vixen team, wearing the RGT kit out there today. Maybe it's more aerodynamic in the game. Skin suit,
also,
right?
Yeah, hey. Erin is also fresh off of Fat Bike Worlds.
Right.
So she is an outdoor participant as much as an indoor participant. So she loves, as she stated in her Instagram, she loves riding all bikes.
Where some riders would see an opportunity to take a week off from the Echelon Racing League, Erin Ayala sees an opportunity to get out on the fat bike and ride. Picking up Noble on course now at 500 meters to go. Sounds like we've got Jackie Godby in our SIS Zoom room. So let's grab a word with our winner today in our women's time trial at the Devil's Den State Park.
Thanks, Brad. I'm here in the SIS Zoom room with Jackie Godby, who had the fastest time in our time trial. Jackie, tell us a little bit about that time trial because that was tough.
That was tough. Tough is an excellent word for it. So, this time I had the advantage of getting to watch my husband, John Cooper, go before me. I hope you guys got to see him lead off the men's race. And, that was a learning experience for me. Like, I got to watch his face as he went through it. And then once he hopped off the bike, warmed down, he jumped right off and he was helping me talk through the race. Like, all right, you need to hold more speed through the flat at the end of the hill. I know you're tired, but this is where I lost time. And, really walking me through parts of the course that when you're that deep in the pain zone, you don't have the mental capacity to process yourself. So, it was tough, but it was also a group effort. And I really want to thank John for all his help.
Yeah, definitely. Tonight was a little bit of a shorter portion, much shorter than the race tomorrow. How does this prepare you for going into the weekend?
Well, this weekend, we're going to face some big uphill challenges as well, and like in the Gila, when you hit those 8-minute long hills, just like we hit today, you almost get to go back into time trial mode and sit in, figure out what can I do here? When can I cut off my power on those downhills and still keep the speed? So I think tonight was an excellent learning experience that throughout this season, I haven't just learned how to race better, but I've continued to work on my fitness goals. And, I can hold 400 watts a lot longer than I thought I could.
All right. Congratulations, Jackie. We'll see you tomorrow. Brad, back to you.
Thank you so much. Bye, guys.
Thank you very much, Emma. Congratulations, Jackie. You can hold 400 watts a lot longer than a lot of people, Jackie. I would say
What
that.
a gracious winner. What a gracious athlete. I just love her interviews.
Godby turning in a 939 today with a 5.9 average watt per kilo. Rhea Mobbs comes in just 11 seconds down on her. So that's what Mobbs is looking at going into the next 2 days. She's got to figure out how to claw back 11 seconds from Godby. Keeping Godby's wheel for the next 2 days won't be a problem, but Mobbs needs to figure out how to take that time back. So she's going to have to be aggressive as we head into stages 2 and 3 tomorrow. Malice in third place for the Project Echelon team, minute 58 back. Then Aaron Ayala ends up fourth place for the Velocity Vixen team, just ahead of her two teammates, Cheyenne Noble and Holly Larson, in sixth and seventh, with Brennan Nelson slotting into fifth place for the Faster Cyclist team. So 5.9 watts per kilo for Jackie Godby. Another win in the Echelon Racing League, and we're just getting started this weekend at the Walmart Joe Martin Stage Race. So much longer days tomorrow. Lauren, she called it just like doing the time trial. It's an 8-minute effort. It's just, 20 minutes of those for, a couple hours tomorrow. It seems easy for Jackie Godby, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, her mindset is just next level. I don't know if that's her being a doctor or what it is, being up at 3 a.m. and doing these workouts. But I just go back to, like, she's just giving thanks to her husband and, playing the game of, like, it's a team atmosphere, even in the house, and kind of working through that. And even she alluded to how hard you're going that you can't even think straight. So I just think it was just, always great to get a little insight from her and to have her interviews. And let's see if Rhea Mobbs can't take it to her tomorrow. It's just, and Sunday. I think Mobbs definitely has a chance for a stage win for sure this weekend.
Team Godby wins again here at the Walmart Joe Martin Stage Race. Again, racing resumes tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern for our pro men, and then our pro women will be following that for some much longer days of road racing coming up. So getting down towards the end of it as we wrap up week 5 here at the Joe Martin Stage Race, just ahead of the league championships coming up February 12th. But first, 2 more great days of racing coming up this weekend. So for Lauren Hall, my name is Brad Soner, saying thanks for watching the Devil's Den time trial today for stage 1 of the Walmart Joe Martin Stage Race. We'll see you back here at 11 a.m. tomorrow for stage 2.